Welcome to the inventory series for my RPG games. So I decided to branch off my tutorials into different topics, and so this is going to be the first video of my inventory system, but it's unfinished. When I press the I key, I have an inventory and I'm showing some new things that I'm using. I'm using lists along with variables, and I've kind of put the variable next to where it is. Okay, and so I can walk up to items and I can actually pick them up and they go into my inventory. So here they are. All right, and then I can click and drag, and you can see that my equipment's changing there too, and I have a sword equipped, and this keeps coming through even though I keep moving it behind the inventory screen, but that's okay. When I equipped the sword, I did a little bit of graphics work to make it so that I have the actual sword equipped, but I haven't done a whole lot there. But I have a viable inventory system at this point, and so but this is just the first video, and so if you're following along, 5 videos to go to get to this point. So if that doesn't sound like what you want to do, maybe you should take a different route at this point. Today we're going to look at how to start making an inventory system. In last video, I started talking about how I make copies, but I really didn't finish it, so let me talk about why I was bringing that up. So here is my lesson 5 project. What I do every time I make a new video is I make a new copy so that I have this project available. And probably every time you code, you don't want to do this because you'll have tons of projects that you might get lost. But occasionally it might be a good idea to save a copy so that if something happens, you can go back to a version, like maybe you make a big mistake and you delete something and you can't get it back or whatever. At least you have a backup copy somewhere. The first thing I'm going to want is a new type of sprite. I'm just going to paint it. And I'm going to go with like a, I don't know, like a grayish color. And I'm going to convert to bitmap, use the paint, and just paint the whole thing. Okay? And I'm going to call this sprite inventory. And like always, just some real standard things that I almost do every time I make a sprite or a costume, the code that I make for a sprite. Very similar things. I need to center it. So now it's centered. All right. And I'm going to use just a key on the keyboard to have this. This one. I'm going to do this. So when the I key is pressed, looks. I'll just do a few things while I'm going. So first of all, when we start the game, let's go ahead and hide the inventory. So now when I start the game, now that inventory isn't in the way. But when the I key is pressed, I want to show it. Okay. All right. Well, but now it's like covering everything up, so I got to make it go away. And so I'm going to use this wait until. Where is it? I'm going to pull this out first. And here it is. All right. And I just want to wait. Let's just wait for like, I don't know, a quarter second. Okay. And wait until key. Let's just use the same, obviously the same key. And then we'll hide it. All right. So I'm going to reset the game. I press I, and I press I. So as you can see, now I have this screen that's coming up. All right, so pretty basic. Okay. Um, so when I press the I button, and the reason why I do the wait is because it'll happen too fast. Like I want it so that, like, if you don't have this wait quarter seconds, then it'll try to show and hide at the same time, and it just happened too fast. So just give it a little break between the I presses. That's working nice. I like it. So now I have this inventory screen. I'm gonna make a whole new sprite again, and I'm gonna call this sprite inventory slot. Okay, and so I'm going to go to bitmap, and I'm going to make an outlined, black outlined. All right, and so if I hold shift while I make this, it'll make it a square. All right, and I'm going to go about that size. And I don't feel like I'm quite centered. Whoops. I want to do that. Change my function. All right, that looks better. Okay, and then I will want to use the same code that I have on my inventory basically as this one. So I'm going to go back to the code, and well, I could just make that. There's no sense in. All right, so we'll just do it again. So code for this inventory slot, some of the same basic things. Obviously, we'll want to. We're not going to center it. You'll see how we'll deal with that in a minute. But all right, pull that out to center it. We'll do a hide and show. At some point, we may want to deal with layers, so I'll just go ahead and pull those out right now. Because this needs to be on top of the screen. And like when a key is pressed, so when I is pressed, we're going to show. We're going to wait until, but we'll wait a quarter second like we did on the screen. Wait until we press the I key again. And then we'll just hide. Okay, so let's try that. Reset the game. I press I, okay. All right, great. So I'm going to go back into this costume, and I'm going to fill this in. Weird. We'll go with like a really light color. Like, let's just go with pure white. I think that'll look decent. Okay. All right, great. So now, yeah, I like it. All right, so that's my inventory slot. All right. Now, the next thing to make this work is we'll need some items to go in. So we're going to call this costume empty. And you can use any graphics again that you want, but in the last video I showed you how to get this this tile set sprite from my project. And so you can use whatever item you want. You can do however you want to do it, but I'm just going to select an item from here. So I'll just zoom in a little bit. And let's just do this sword, all right? So I'm just going to copy that sword. Okay. And first, I'm going to go over to my items costumes. I'm going to go to paint. I'm going to paint that sword in here. And of course, there it is. I need to center it. So I'm going to center that sword. All right. I'm not done. I'm going to go over to the inventory slot. I'm going to duplicate it, and I'm going to call the costume sword. Oh, put everything in caps. Okay, like that. And I'm going to paste it, and as you see, I'm going to put this sword into the inventory slot. Alright, and I feel like I need to make the sword bigger. Okay, so this is the graphic it uses when we have that sword. And let's just do another item while we're at it. So I'll duplicate this, and we'll call this one a bow. I'll go back to the tile sets, and I'm just not in love with that because I don't like the fact that it has an arrow with it. I mean, it's easier if you just have your arrows come with your bow, but video unnecessarily longer, so I'm just going to go right into it. And this may help you. So sometimes you may not be able to find exactly what you want, and it's all in how much time you want to spend. Like this bow's okay, but if I wanted to, I could change it. And let me show you. This might be beneficial. Whoa. Don't want to do that. Gotta zoom back in. Zoom back out. Zoom back in. Alright. So, like, I don't like the arrow. Oh, and I'm in vector. I don't like the arrow. So, whoa. So, I can basically just kind of match this up the way and then you can do little tricks like I'll flip it on the horizontal to make the parts line up the way I want. Alright, so I'm just trying to get rid of that arrow part. I just want the bow. And every time I paste it, like falls down lower and lower, so I'm going to copy that again, so next time I paste it, it doesn't do that. You see, I'm just maybe one more time right there to cover up that block. And let's get rid of this, and let's make this full there. Okay, great. And then just working on taking an arrow out of the picture. Alright, and then something like that. I'm just highlighting all the arrow part and just deleting it, hitting delete. Okay, and then this, I'll just paste it on top here. Zoom in a little closer. There it is. Alright, and now when I zoom out, it actually looks like a bow without the arrow. Okay, and that took a while. So I'll call that bow. And now that I've created it, or at least edited it, I'm going to put it in its inventory slot. Okay. So now all the items that you want to put in your inventory, you would make costumes. You'd need to make the item, and so this will be like the item on the ground just like the key is, and you'll touch it and you'll pick it up. But unlike the key, when the key and the coin, they just change a variable. What we'll do is in our inventory, no, not there, but in our inventory, depending on when we pick it up, it'll go from this costume that's empty to the bow costume, to the costume of the bow or the sword or whatever we pick up. All right. Okay, so we've just got the start of our inventory here. Stay tuned for the next lesson, and we'll start making clones and making this a working inventory.